We've talked off and on about the idea that sometimes when you give away so-called free stuff, as the right likes to talk about it, you actually can end up saving money. And we have another instance of this from Utah. In 2005, Utah had almost 2,000 of what they call chronically homeless individuals. And by last year, that number had dropped 72% to only 539 people. How did this happen? Well, Gordon Walker explained this. Gordon Walker is the director of the State Housing and Community Development Division. And he said that the state is approaching a functional zero level of chronic homelessness. It's super simple. Utah gave chronically homeless people brand new houses, period. First, they had to identify, okay, who is chronically homeless? And they said, well, the way we will determine if someone is chronically homeless is they have a disabling condition and have been homeless for longer than a year, or they have been homeless 4 different times in the last 3 years. And they instituted this program called Housing First. Now, before the program started, Utah was spending $20,000 on each homeless person per year. And the state started setting up each chronically homeless person with his or her own house. Then once they had them in stable housing, they were provided counseling. In 2004, they did a trial run, okay? The state housed 17 people through Salt Lake City. They checked back a year later. 14 of those 17 were still in their homes, and 3 had passed away. Very, very high success rate. Years later, now we have even more results. Walker says that the state saves about $8,000 per homeless in annual expenses. Instead of $20,000 per person, they are now spending $12,000 per person, taking into account the cost of giving someone housing. Again, this is proven. The most fiscally conservative program is the so-called liberal one. Giving the homeless homes seems absurd, right? It's the height of government waste. Hey, they haven't earned those homes. Why are taxpayers paying for those homes? Why are you getting something for nothing? Who cares about it? Put aside the morals of it, of people should pull themselves up by the bootstraps. If you want to do what is fiscally conservative, we have yet another example. We had one from Colorado, Lewis. Now we have one from Utah. This saves money.
Yeah, conservative ideology here kind of makes it seem like these people should be punished instead of helped.
Of
Because
course.
it's more about the morals than about what is fiscally conservative, even though they preach fiscal conservatism.
They deserve to be homeless.
Right. But yeah, and there's also the inability to look at things in the long term, the bigger picture, because it's all about instant gratification or instant punishment. You know, that's what conservatives do.
This is actually even more evidence for me that we should really consider a basic income. And we're going to talk about this hopefully soon with a basic income expert, and we've talked about it in the past. When you provide a basic income as a matter of fact, right, you can eliminate so many social programs, each of which has significant administration costs. If you say, okay, we've got food stamps over here, and that's about $200 a month in benefits, and it costs who knows how many millions or tens of millions, I don't even know how much, just in administering that, and who qualifies for the food stamps, who doesn't qualify for the food stamps. You look at other programs. You look at, pick whatever program you want. Social Security, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a basic income and you can forget about means testing, you can forget about all of the other administrative and bureaucratic layers that we have, you actually will save significantly. And this has been shown time after time in small experiments. And I remain convinced, Lewis, that we should, especially as automation and technological unemployment will be more and more of an issue, as we discussed earlier this week, we really need to seriously think about a basic income.
Yes, well, I think that is going to be the hardest possible thing to achieve, probably even harder than a single-payer healthcare system, because now you're talking about, I mean, convincing conservatives with this.
Sure.
You're convincing them to give everybody money all the time, and you know that's all they hear. You can make every argument, but all they're going to hear is free money for everybody.
Right.
Good luck with that.
The opposite of what conservatives say on many of these fiscal issues is true. Giving away free stuff is really expensive. Now, actually, giving away free stuff sometimes can be really inexpensive. Pulling people off, kicking people off of social programs is how we save. No, actually, that can be really, really expensive. And that's what we're increasingly learning from these individual studies and experiments that are being done in different places.